Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Yola Perseus 3S. As you all know, this is already the third Perseus review of the year, which I did not expect at all. I don't think any of us predicted what would happen with the Gen 3, the original Gen 3 series. That would now lead us to the Gen 3S, but here we are. Now, so we had the Gen 3, the original series, then we had the Mod K15, and now we have the 3S. And this is a really interesting paddle because in a way, it's kind of like a mix between the original Gen 3 and the Mod K15 in terms of how it looks, being that you have the colored edge guard again that the original Gen 3 did, although you do have black accents now and a black grip tape instead of gray. But unlike the original Gen 3, you now have an open space where there's no graphics in the sweet spot area, just like the Mod K15. And of course, there are significant differences from both of those models and this. The biggest probably being that this is UPA approved, it is not USA Pickleball approved. Now, this probably could have been USA Pickleball approved, but y'all did not even attempt to get approved by USA Pickleball, which is more of just a point of we don't need you, we have the UPA, rather than it's not going to be approved. This paddle is certainly not as powerful as the Mod K15, which is approved by USA Pickleball, and it doesn't get quite the same spin, but we're going to get into that and why that is. So the 3S series has a little more control than the original Gen 3 does and the Mod K15. The reason for that is, and this is the big difference between the Mod K15 and the original 3S series, is that the core in here, so I'm holding the 16mm version of the Perseus 3S. The core in here is, and was originally 16mm, whereas with the Gen 3S and even the Mod K15, Yola was intentionally core crushing them, so they might have been putting in, say, a 17mm core, compressing that down to 16mm and then building the paddle. But this does not have that same compression, though it does have the same propulsion core as the other two. Now, not having that compression in the core makes it a little stiffer and a little less powerful, and it seems like it has a tiny bit less spin, though it might be the same. But so really those are the main differences between, again, this is now the third review we've done for the Perseus shape, and really, again, the specs are the same in terms of the core, in terms of the length, the handle length. Of course, the shape is entirely the same as the original Gen 3 and the Mod K15. It's just a slightly different paddle that is UPA approved. And something else I have noticed, and you probably wouldn't notice unless you actually felt, or you have a Mod K15 and have felt the surface, and then have a 3S and feel the surface, because these two paddles actually have different carbon fiber faces, with the Mod K15 having what Yola called a carbon friction face, and the 3S series having a charged carbon face. The surface on the Mod K15 feels a bit smoother, whereas this feels rougher. It feels closer to more of a medium gritty original Gen 3. If you remember, one of the quality issues with the original Gen 3 series was that the face could be on one side super gritty and on the other side very smooth, or it could be both sides were super smooth or both sides were super gritty. There was not much consistency in the quality of the spin with the original Gen 3 series. Now they fixed that with the Mod K15, though they use a different carbon fiber surface. And again, they go back to the charged carbon, but this definitely doesn't feel like one of the grittiest Gen 3s, though it is also much, much grittier than one of the smoothest original Gen 3s. So it feels like it's kind of somewhere in between. And out of all of the 3Ss I have felt, they all seem to be this way. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, because that core is not crushed in here, it's a little stiffer, the paddle is gonna feel more like a Gen 2 paddle than it would one of the Gen 3s, which feels more like a tennis racket. But honestly, I think that has more to do with the feel than how it necessarily plays, because really the specs on this paddle are just slightly behind the Mod K15. Again, it's slightly less powerful, though it does have more control, and for a lot of people, that might be better anyway. It doesn't matter how powerful your paddle is if you're hitting it out half of your shots. So it's better in a lot of cases for some people who maybe you're hitting the ball out all the time to have a paddle that's not as powerful, but you're going to gain obviously more control and accuracy, and you're not going to be worrying about how hard to hit the ball because you can wind up and hit it, and you can be more concerned about your actual shot placement or what you're going to do next. I also just think it's nice now that the handles are black. Again, I think the mod looks really nice, but the white handle, if you don't use overgrip, It turns brown really fast, and it's not just with the Yola paddles. Any paddle that has a white handle is going to turn brown, even if you don't sweat. My hands really don't sweat, but even if your hands are not that sweaty, the paddle will get dirty, the handle will start turning brown, and it just kind of doesn't look great. But I think black was actually a great choice for the handle, and it also just helps distinguish it from the original Gen 3 series, which had the grid handle. Also, something else to note is that the 3S series comes in every shape that the original Gen 3s did, whereas the Mod TA15 was just the Perseus shape. So now we're back to having every shape. There were a lot of people asking me about the Mod TA15, if there was ever going to be a Hyperion shape, or if there was ever going to be a Magnus. And the answer to that, from what I know so far, is no. That is not going to happen. So if you're somebody who played a lot of tournaments that are USA Pickleball sanctioned, and you like the Mod TA15, but you wish it was in a Magnus, or you wish it was in a Hyperion shape, you're probably just going to have to wait until whatever Yola releases next, because the Mod TA15 is probably just going to be in the Perseus shape, especially with these out now. If you like this video, please don't forget to leave a like or even leave a comment. If you want to watch our other videos on the Yola paddles, we still have the original Gen 3 video here on our channel, and we also recently reviewed the Mod TA15, so you can go check that out. If you're not subscribed, please make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.